Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Sport Federation TV, the show that brings you all the news from all the sports in all of the Western Cape. I'm Ch263 and once again I'll be your host. Coming up tonight, a jam-packed show. We'll be talking baseball, archery, softball and tennis. Joining me first from the world of Western Cape baseball, we have Warren Manchin and Sadiq Sheldon. Welcome gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having us again.
Yes, Warren, you've been here before and we were talking about the highlights the last time you were here, but now you're just back from your national tournament, so tell us about that.
Well, we had a very successful national tournament. First time for Western Cape to be represented as a province basically.
Yes.
So after the structural changes that we underwent. And it went very well to the point that the three age groups, under 12, under 15, under 18, under 12 and under 15 captured the gold medal, and the under 18 team came just short. In 10 innings they went down 3-2 to Gauteng. Fantastic baseball game, good advert for the game at a junior level, so yeah, it was a very good tournament.
So which age groups were involved again in that tournament?
It was the under 10s play like a friendship series,
right,
but the playing for a medal would be the under 12s, under 15s and under 18s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in comparison to having represented, well, let's say the Western Cape regions previously, how was this different?
Well, previously we would go basically as districts basically.
Yeah.
You know, so before we had changed our name to Cape Town Baseball Federation, we were Baseball Association of Western Province, and we would then take teams down to the nationals basically. So therein was the fundamental difference this year, that a all-inclusive provincial side was selected out of a process of various inter-district tournaments and trials. And yeah, that's the way forward. Takes a bit of getting used to, I think, change, but I think ultimately once the dust settles and everybody really just applies their mind, and they'll see the bigger picture basically.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Now, Sadiq, you're the transformational officer. Hey.
That's correct, yeah.
And it's a big role, a responsibility, and I guess the backstory for SASCOC having put pressure on the provinces to align with the geographical structures that we have in the country was also to address the issue of transformation. But before we move to that, now Western Cape having structured the way they ought to structure to fall under SASCOC and stuff, you were able to put forth a solid team. Hey.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, and obviously with the structure, like Warren mentioned, in terms of it was first BOP, now it's a whole lot of structure that took place.
Yeah.
In terms of where Western Cape is the mother body, and I don't think people understand the process where Western Cape Baseball Federation fits in, and obviously the districts fall underneath that. So you have the new, which was BOP, is now Cape Town Baseball Federation. You have your Central, you have your West Coast, you have Winelands and Eden,
Overberg.
and Overberg as well. So we have 6 districts that fall under us. So obviously the task is used. There is still a lot of things that needs to be put in place. And as you mentioned, from a SASCOC perspective, it's hard work because I've been pulling documentation in line with SASCOC and World Baseball Federation, World Baseball and Softball Federation as well.
Yeah, and it's great to have a document and a policy, the transformation charter, but really applying it on the ground level is quite challenging.
It is a task.
Yes, and I understand that facilities is also an issue in your code. Hey.
Yeah, look, I think, and you know, I'm quite vociferous about the issue around facilities basically. If we were to play baseball for maybe an additional 3 months basically in a year, obviously there will be major spin-offs for us. Again, this year we've got South Africa sending an under 12 team to Tainan, as well as an under 18 team going to South Korea. And you know what, all these kids want to do is play baseball. But again, we are kind of handicapped by the winter-summer season thing basically. And that we really need to find some a way around that basically, you know. And again, I speak directly to infrastructure and stuff like that. We do have 1 or 2 facilities available, but again, I think it needs a collective mindset basically as to how to address it with the powers that be, municipality, city, etc. And to say, you know what, guys, this is a dedicated area for the code. And really, if we want to improve as the code, that is what we require. You know, no code can be dictated to by another code in terms of a facility. I think that is our biggest challenge for us as baseballers, basically. And you know, baseball is like any other sport. The more you play it, the better you become at it. You know, so if we get to put in the longer hours, I'm almost sure that we will see some the pattern at international level will start to improve basically, and we'll become more competitive. You know, it's not that we do not have the talent. We definitely do have the talent. There's no doubt about it. And it is just the nurturing and the harnessing, and how do we put all of the ingredients, if I may put it that way, together.
Yeah.
You know, and just get the almost the perfect recipe going forward. And I must say, look, there's a lot of ideas out there. There's a lot of people with good baseball brains basically, and individuals that really has the game at heart. But you know, just putting it into the melting pot, and then getting it, you know, establishing a real blueprint for what we want to achieve basically. But call that medium term to long term. I think for the year and now, I think we're doing very well basically.
Sadiq, how are you doing so well?
In terms of, if you look at it, now we just got back from the NBC, and I look at the talent that we saw there. There was a team from Limpopo, and I must say those guys have amazing arms. I mean, the ability, the athletic ability, and that. And I mean, they gave some of the teams a run for their money.
And it's always so inspiring to see. You know, Western Cape is one of the bigger, more developed provinces in the country. But when you get the athletes in any sport, from Mpumalanga and Limpopo performing, it's truly inspiring. Hey, because you know they have, you know, those provinces have less than what our guys have.
Yeah, I think in the case of Limpopo, for example, Limpopo is a big softball province.
Yeah.
But I think now baseball is starting to almost capture part of that market.
Yes.
You know, so the guys in Limpopo, they used to running around, throwing a ball and stuff like that. Okay, a few fundamentals is completely different to softball. But the basic knowledge is good basically. And you sometimes feel for the coaches because they're very enthusiastic. The kids are very enthusiastic, and if they just had a little bit more, you know, they could become so much better than what they currently are. But yeah, we shouldn't lose hope.
If only we had the support to back the passion, hey?
Exactly.
Because that's what it boils down to. I mean, most of the administrators in sports are volunteers, and they're doing it just because they love it so much and they want to bring opportunities, and it's just the support that they need. What are your goals in terms of transformation in your sport?
Well, I just got on board recently, probably about maybe 6 months ago. So I'm still feeling my feet. Like I said, I'm pulling a lot of documentation, try to align from the top down so that we can filter it and obviously look at how we can implement it, because if we can implement it correctly, then it will filter out to the rest of the other districts as well.
Yeah.
So that's more important that we need to focus on now.
Yeah.
I think in terms of Sadiq's portfolio, basically, you know, Western Cape is doing a lot of capacity building as well. It's not only about the athlete itself and the high performance and training and stuff like that. It's a lot of capacity building. So we've recognized that, whilst we can push out the athlete, basically, we also need the umpires, the scorers, male, female. And so, you know, on that side, Sadiq has been extremely busy, basically, in you know, across the board, male, female, inclusion, participation. So he's got his work cut out on that side. And again, in the other districts, whilst maybe from a player perspective we're not there yet, the administrative side, the females, the ladies that want to score, they want to be, you know, it's important that we capture them, and that we bring them into the system basically. And yeah, he's done a good job thus far.
Lovely.
Right, yeah.
But especially for the juniors, and especially for the juniors coming from the underprivileged areas, it's emancipating.
Correct.
To be involved in a sport, and sometimes their only way out of those situations.
Yeah.
Hey.
So at the national tournament this year, the team dynamic, besides the team itself, but the coaching dynamic was also made up of coaches from the various districts, basically. You know, and it was refreshing, because again we're trying to upskill each other. It's not to say that we in the Western Cape we have all the answers, because we really don't.
Yeah.
But we are slightly ahead of the rest of the province.
Well, and it's beautiful that you mentioned that, because a lot of times as well in provinces you can get the central, well in our case it's Cape Metro, that kind of dominates the scene in terms of administrators and coaches and management of teams, you know. So it's great that you're kind of spreading out, and it's capacity building as well, because they're never going to get great administering if they don't given the opportunity to.
Exactly that. And I mean, I must say the guys were fantastic. The team was great. A few guys used to come back to the hotel with a headache at night, because they said they've never been, you know, subjected to some of the pressures basically of the day. But that's the learning process, is it not? You know, what's the use? A few of us gonna have all this information and not share it. I mean, then we're really missing the point completely.
And it's transformational leadership.
Exactly.
There should never be only one person that knows how to do a thing in an organization. Hey.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I'm almost we so, you know, it's a positive spin-off, because we know what's going to go happen. You know, in those districts that they're coming from again, and they will then become a leader and mentor the younger group of guys or administrators coming through. And yes, so, you know, we're always trying to balance this. On the one end you want to compete internationally, on the other end you got to look after the mass participation and then the next level of participation, and it's never easy. But again, it's a process, and you know, all we can ask is for patience and people to understand the thinking around it basically. Because like I say, you know, change is never easy. And anybody and everybody will always have a problem with the change. But
especially Cape Townians,
when
very resistant to change.
But when the dust settles, like I say, when the dust settles and people start seeing, looking with clearer eyes, basically, that they'd see the benefit of it, basically. So yeah, we excited. HPC has been up and running. We're running our first HPC again, 1st and 2nd of June, off the top of my head. So we're just going to continue the process, and we can see as a province the strength in the naming of the athletes that has been named to participate in the upcoming championships. You know, I would go as far as to say that in the 12s, 15s, and 18s. In every age group, we got more than 65% representation.
Beautiful.
You know, so
beautiful.
Again, it's a feather in the cap of all other administrators, all the coaches on the ground, basically. There are some guys that's doing some sterling work out there, and yeah, you know, they might not get a mention, but we got to realize
legacy.
It's a legacy that they're leaving, because they are working and they're doing good work with these kids, basically. And we gotta reward each other for that, you know. And sometimes just a thank you or a pat on the back and say, look, job well done, goes a long way.
Absolutely. How can people get in touch with you guys to support your initiatives, or even to join as an athlete?
Email address is Western Cape Baseball Federation @gmail.com.
Right.
Our secretary is Chantal Wilson. So, you know, all correspondence can go directly to that email address, and Chantal will revert.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for coming, but also, more importantly, thank you for the work you're doing in the community, because you're bringing opportunities, especially to our children. And we hope that you come back and give us more highlights from the world of baseball in the Western Cape.
Thank you very much for having us once again.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's it from Western Cape Baseball. After the break, we'll be taking a look at tennis, so please stay tuned for that.